Hello and welcome to episode number 30 of the Nintendo Jump Podcast. We are a weekly discussion podcast created for Nintendo gamers by Nintendo gamers. It's the week of January 14th. My name is Daryl, and today I'm once again joined by Sergio.
Hello, everyone.
And Kevin. Kevin? Hey guys, it seems like we've lost Kevin, but, never fear, because joining us for the first time ever is special guest Monty.
Hi, everybody. So, just, if you shout me out enough times, I might just show up. So, shout outs to Kevin.
It's like he's the Beetlejuice of our Discord. You say his name enough times and boom, he's here. All right, so, you guys have gotten to know us pretty well. So, Monty, what is your favorite game on Switch?
Oh, favorite game on Switch? That's hard. It always changes. Oh, put me on the spot. Oof.
Yep.
You know what? Monster Hunter is my go-to. I love it. I'm taking a little break from it to see other games, but, we'll get back together pretty soon.
Well, there you go, Monster Hunter. So Monty is the new weird one of us. There you go. All right. So this week we actually, this is going to be some fun. Kevin had to step away for a week, but we fully expect him to be back next week. But definitely appreciate Monty stepping in for that. So with all that said, hey Monty, what are we talking about today?
Well, today we're going to talk about some indie game collaborations. I think it's midnight tonight. I'm not sure when it drops actually, but Travis Strikes Again is actually coming out today.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And Suda obviously loves his indies. He keeps going on about them. And Travis actually dons like about 15 games from Hyper Light Drifter, Hotline Miami, Shovel Knight, and I'm sure there's more.
As shirts, right?
Yeah, shirts. I haven't played the game myself yet, but I'm kind of excited about it. But with that, we just wanted to talk about some indie games.
Yeah, so indie games are kind of interesting. I mean, there's this world of collaborations going on where you'll see characters from certain games pop up in other games, and I've always kind of found that interesting that they're almost a little bit more loose than the big companies. Like you don't see too many Smash Brothers style games, but from time to time, especially Nicalis is doing a ton of them. Most recently, Blade Strangers, and I think they've got Crystal Crisis either coming out or it came out. That just seems to have like every character ever in it.
Oh yeah, you got Binding of Isaac or Isaac from Binding of Isaac. Part of me, I know Cave Story is one of your beloved games, but I cannot remember the main character's name.
No, typically they include both Quote and Curly Brace. And honestly, that made me want Blade Strangers originally. I've almost bought it a couple times. The last time I found it on sale like a week before Smash was releasing, I was like, I can't do this. But I'll have it eventually. I mean, something about that game just looks so dumb and fun, and I really dig it. But let's talk about Travis Strikes Again for a second. Either of you guys planning on picking it up?
Yeah, I'm actually thinking about it. I'm still debating on picking it up on launch, but I never played any of the other Travis games, so I don't know what I'm in for.
Myself, I'm not at this point. I'm not considering picking it up, but I did notice that it's going to be only $30 on the eShop, and I did not expect that. That's kind of cool.
It's weird. It's getting crazy mixed reviews. So I'm having a hard time really nailing it down. Like some sites are calling it boring. Some sites are calling it great. Like it's weird. So I'm kind of like you, Sergio. I'm going to let it come out and just see what the overall reception is. But I mean, getting back to the collaboration, I mean, there's even a shirt from Majora's Mask in it. Like they've really gone all out for.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, for references to other indie games and other like actual Nintendo games. It's an interesting way to do it, just because this kind of non-gameplay related just nod, and it makes sense for this character to just be wearing a shirt of one of his favorite games, right?
Right.
Oh yeah. All I know about him is he's a game otaku. Or just an otaku.
Yeah, actually, No More Heroes is one of those series that I've never really gotten much into either, but I understand this one's almost completely different. It's more of a kind of a top-down action type game. It looks interesting, and I'll give it that. It definitely has a neat style to it. I'm somewhat interested in it, but like I said, I'm gonna let it come out. But I mean, thus far, so we've mentioned some other collaborations and such. Do you guys have like a favorite time of a character popping up in another game where you didn't expect? Because I got a couple of them.
I'm pretty easy with Shovel Knight. He's pretty much what got me into indie gaming for the most part. And I just love that he's showing up. He even made it to the big leagues. He's in Smash.
Yeah,
As for me, I guess my favorite is the fact that Ori from Ori and the Blind Forest is in the fighting game Rivals of Either. The thing is, though, I know it's coming to the Switch, but I'm not sure if the Ori character is going to make it, since Ori is kind of on the Xbox and Microsoft exclusive side. So either way, I'm happy about that.
that's awesome. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, Microsoft is pretty buddy-buddy with Nintendo lately, so it could happen.
Yeah. Oh man, hopefully.
Here's hoping for a few more things from Microsoft too. If I remember right, Shovel Knight's in that as well, isn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
Name a indie game collaboration. Shovel Knight's in it.
Yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
exactly.
So far, I think he has 4 fighting games. If I'm counting them right, it's Blade Strangers and Rivals of Aether and
Brawlhalla.
Brawlhalla and Smash, although he's not playable, but
Right.
he's awesome. Man, he gets around.
And that's playable. Well, not with the exception of Smash, and cameos. He's even more.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I remember the Runner series had a bunch of cameos as well. You could play as a ton of different characters. I remember the Cave Story characters even showed up in that.
Oh,
Almost
yeah?
made me get that game. I think Runner 2 they showed up in.
Oh.
Almost made me buy that just based on that. And then you got a game like Runbow. A ton of characters show up in that.
Shovel Knight's in Rumbo.
So Shovel Knight is pretty much Captain Indy at this point, I think.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I love it. It's like all these little games getting together, working together. It's just nice to see.
Yeah, what was interesting, speaking of Brawlhalla, which actually is a surprisingly decent game for free, Rayman is in it. That's kind of
Oh,
odd.
wow.
Oh, I
So-
forget about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm with you. I love these collaborations, and I love kind of what they did. Going back to like the first, I'll say Smash-like game on Switch in Brawl Out, they had Juan from Guacamelee, and they had Hyper Light Drifter in there.
Oh, yeah.
If I remember right, they just added ukulele. I mean, this is happening a lot, and
Oh,
it's
wow.
really cool to see. I've always kind of wondered how the business actually works out, like whether the game developer tries to get those characters in their game, or the characters the character owners try to get their characters in the game. I'm super curious exactly how the financials really work out with that kind of
Right.
situation. But honestly, it doesn't matter. I love seeing it every time.
And you know what I think also, like all of these indie companies are learning how to be as secretive as possible, or even getting close to Nintendo levels of secrecy, being able to keep all of these cameos and secret characters in games that are not even announced yet, and then when they announce them, everyone is in it. Everyone from the indies. It's pretty cool.
So let me ask you this: Nicalis is kind of doing it in this like empire of indie games here, but do you expect something like that to grow or pop up where you see like almost a bunch of indie games falling under the same banner and being treated like the new AAA? Because part of me kind of sees that happening.
Well, they are becoming established brands, and I know Humble Bundle regularly does bundles of big time indies, and eventually I can almost see like a indie store coming out. I know there's like a couple different platforms. There's the whole Fortnite's
It's the Epic Store.
Epic Store. There we go.
Yeah.
They're coming out with the big guns, and I know there's Itch.io for like really small like indie projects. But
Yeah,
I'm
that's
wondering
true.
if there's like gonna be a market for mid-level stuff, because look at the Switch had a lot of help from indies, and that's amazing. It's like, I'm glad they're doing so well. Some are doing like 10 times the sale of all other platforms combined, stuff like that. But I'm wondering if there's ever a future for just, a mid-level indie store.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. Because, I mean, back in the day, you would argue that maybe like Steam was that store, but now they're getting buried so much. Like
Yeah.
that store is almost illegible. You can't find anything. You don't know what anything is, and it's just filled to the brim. So I mean, maybe and maybe it is a company. I keep mentioning them, but maybe it is a company like Nicalis comes in and just says, you know what, this is going to be our store of quote unquote good indie games. You know?
Yeah, and I mean, there's Devolver Digital. It's more of a publisher than
Yeah,
anything,
that's
but
true.
it's also a pretty big contributor to indies on Switch. You never know.
I like seeing the kind of the smaller development studios get a lot of collaboration and funding from these larger publishers that are just kind of getting kind of good at pushing indie games. I also love I just love anytime you see characters pop up where they probably shouldn't be. I don't know. I just think it's fun to watch in that scenario. So I think as a gamer and as somebody who actually enjoys indie games, watching that kind of thing is a lot of fun for me personally. So hey, the more they can do it, the better, in my opinion.
Yeah, and personally, I'm waiting for Hollow Knight to start making some cameos.
I
Oh
have to
yeah.
feel that's coming.
Yeah.
Hollow Knight is getting really big for a character, and deservedly so. I mean, but I have to think he'll start popping up in places.
And I have to sort of come clean and say that admittedly I'm not too much of an indie gamer. I guess because of, as we get older we have more limited time to game, and I kind of tend to focus on the first party, the quote unquote AAA big time releases. And so I don't get to really experience the indie side of things. But when we talk about things like collaborations and crazy cameos, and basically in a sense these indie companies are making impossible things start to happen, and the impossible things that are happening are becoming bigger, and so it could lead to something really cool happening in the future, and I'm definitely in favor of all that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've mentioned it before. There was a very specific time that I kind of realized, hey, indie games are actually good. And it happened right around. There were a few games kind of all at once. A couple free play games on PC, and then I ended up getting Cave Story on 3DS. And man, that game just broke me. At that point, I was like, well, the world just got bigger.
And it didn't get left in the past. We still got it right now.
Yeah,
Yep.
I
Yep.
mean, I got that game physical just so I can have it. I still haven't played it that much, but that's okay. I'm not upset about that. I like having it.
Right.
I mean, you're just supporting your indies at that point.
Yep. Cool. So with that, I think we're gonna jump to our second topic. If you didn't hear the news, and I'm sorry if this is a spoiler to anybody, but some data miners have actually looked into some of the Switch's code, particularly the code within the NES Online system, and have uncovered some actually rather interesting things. First of all, they've uncovered a list of Super Nintendo games that actually have titles and descriptions in the service, kind of indicating that the coming of Super Nintendo Online to the Switch, which I think is awesome. But there's also a rumor kind of buried with the same thing that there are a couple more unnamed consoles listed in the data, indicating, we may see, Nintendo 64 online, or, oh God, dare I say, GameCube online games coming to Switch at some point. So that kind of got us thinking, if we did see that, or if we did see, say, a Nintendo 64 Mini or a GameCube Mini, what games would we want to see? Okay, so yeah, we're not gonna spoil exactly the games that have been listed for the Super Nintendo. We'll leave that to your imagination. But we're actually gonna jump into some speculation just straight for. Let's start with Nintendo 64. Like, guys, what would you like to see if Nintendo 64 Online became a thing, or if the Nintendo Classic Mini, Nintendo 64 Classic, actually becomes a thing. Let's start with Sergio. What games would you like to see?
Well, first and foremost, the big one that comes to mind is if maybe it is finally time and the stars align and it finally happens and we get a modern port of GoldenEye.
Ooh, okay.
Right, because I mean,
Didn't expect that.
yeah. So we have Perfect Dark on the Microsoft Store on the Xbox 360.
Pretty good remake.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I won both of those games to be honest. I actually like Perfect Dark more than GoldenEye, but GoldenEye has not been around in so many years. There was a remake on the Wii and then it eventually went on the other systems and I don't think it was so badly received, but it definitely wasn't as classic as the original was. So I'm really hoping this could be the time. And like we said earlier, Nintendo and Microsoft have been really good friends lately. Maybe it's time to put this difference aside and just make it happen.
Man, I hope so.
Only thing is licensing rights with James Bond. I mean, aside from that, I feel like they
Right.
could make it work.
So they did release, they re-released GoldenEye on Wii, if I remember right. But they changed a lot of it. From what I heard, it was still good, but it was not the same game
Yeah,
for various things.
right. It was like a reimagining. I think they even changed some of the elements of the story a little bit. I guess maybe because they had to, but yeah, it would be really nice to get the original port as intact as we could possibly get it.
I mean, to jump on top of that, also jump into the GameCube for a sec. But there's also two kind of spin-off titles for GoldenEye that were on GameCube one of them I really loved. It had split screen co-op
Oh,
and it was fantastic. I liked the direction of it. I think it was a third-person shooter. But I can't for the life of me remember it right now. And it's like that is one I would like.
yeah, there were a bunch. Everything or Nothing was that one.
So there was Agent Under Fire.
That was a good one too.
And I think the other one was Nightfire or something like that.
That one too. Yes.
Yeah, one of them I didn't like. I remember renting it and renting the other one instead, and I never got the two straight.
Nice. Yeah, my friends and we played so much of Agent Under Fire back in the GameCube days. I still have that game just because
Nice.
that was one of our go-tos. But that was actually a first-person shooter, but it was super good, like really really good. I actually missed out on GoldenEye for whatever reason. I never
Oh wow.
played it, so this was my James Bond game for some reason. It's really good.
I just gotta say, you're not missing out much if you ever played Perfect Dark, and it has not aged well.
Well, yeah. By the time I wanted to go back to GoldenEye, it was way too late. Like that definitely had a time frame that
Oh, yeah.
game was like the best game ever, and then it was not at all.
It was a product of its time. It looks terrible. I don't even know how we played first-person shooters back then like that. It was a time, and I think it should stay there. Sorry, not to
Nice,
bash
nice.
on your pick, Sergio, but
No, that's fine.
I feel very strongly about
Yeah,
GoldenEye.
Sergio, what are you doing, man? I think for me, when I think of the 64, so what they did with the NES Classic and the Super NES Classic and the Virtual Consoles and such, in each of those they had like a mixture of the really good first party games and some really good third party games. When I get to 64, there really isn't that much good third party. So I was kind of racking my brain on that. There's a few for sure, but I come back to, the 64 was a machine on which to play Mario 64 and Zelda, Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask,
Right.
and Star Fox
Mario
64.
parties.
Yeah, the Mario parties for sure. Mario Party 2 has to be on there. and a few others. I would love to see games like Diddy Kong Racing and Banjo-Kazooie, if you want to call those third parties at this point, which is odd.
Yeah, but Diddy Kong is better than Mario Kart 64.
It really is. I would say shots fired, but no, that's like
That's kind of like my
definitive.
GoldenEye Perfect Dark argument.
Oh, gotcha.
No, I played that game for hours and hours. But then, I mean, when I think of third parties on Nintendo 64, my mind wanders to literally games like Glover,
Yes.
which
I
again is a
love
good
Glover.
game. I would love to see Glover come back, but
Yes.
the likelihood of that is just like,
No,
I
don't
don't
say
know.
that.
I don't know. But
Hey, unlikelier things have happened.
that's true. We had that one little scenario. It was kind of weird. Like, one company said they owned the rights of Glover and they were gonna make Glover 2, and then another company said, "No, we own it." And it turns out they had bought like the rights to the name only.
Oh,
So
Oh no.
Glover's in like development purgatory at this point. But
No.
I think of that, and I think Kevin even mentioned Mischief Makers, which I could actually see.
Oh,
Snowboard
yes.
Kids.
Ooh, Snowboard Kids.
That's a
Yeah.
good one too.
But also, I would love to see like 1080 snowboarding. Wave Race would be
yeah.
great on there.
Oh yeah.
But here I am back at first party games, and I just get kind of
Okay.
stuck.
I think it's second party at best, but have you guys ever played a game called Mystical Ninja Gomon on the
Yes.
64?
Yes.
Yes.
Because I remember that so well. The whole skateboarding giant mech that you ride in eventually. I love that battle. I never really got to fully appreciate it because I never had I don't think I had a way to save the game. So I always
Oh.
had to. It was before I had that extra cartridge.
Yeah.
Right, the memory pack.
64 actually had memory cards, yeah.
Yeah,
And only
it's been
certain
so
games
long.
used them.
I know, and some games I would rent, and I'd have to go through as big of a
Man.
playthrough or leave the 64 on and hope the power didn't go
Yeah.
out. So being able
Nice.
to actually have save states would actually change my enjoyment of those games if I ever went back to them. So you know what? Bring the N64 Mini.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
for it.
For sure.
I'd love to see. I just thought of my third party that trumps all of them. I would love to see Tony Hawk, any of the Tony Hawk games.
Oh,
I would
two.
also, but with the music licensing and everything, I
Yeah,
didn't even have them on my list. But I would love to. One or two, they were great.
or 3 was on there too. Like
3 was still on
3 was on
64?
everything.
yeah,
Oh yeah, that was like the edge period where
Yeah.
the 64 is being phased out.
Right.
Forgot
Yeah.
about that. But I think I still like 2 over 3.
Oh, that's right. I remember. I think that was one of the very last N64 games.
Yeah.
Definitely a good one. As for other third parties, I have now. I don't know. I think there's a couple. I think there's at least two, and I kind of see them getting bad rep. But I remember enjoying Castlevania 64. Did either of you
Hmm.
play those?
no,
Was Castlevania 64 like kind of first person? You start off in a prison, had to get out with a bone.
No, I think that's Shadowgate,
Okay.
an adventure
'cause
game, right?
that goes to show how much I know Castlevania.
Nice. Yeah, they kind of get like a bad rep, like I said, but I enjoyed them. I mean, like I said when we discussed the N64 in a previous episode, I played a lot of bad games on it that I kind of just enjoy out of nostalgia. So
Hey, when you're a kid, you'll just enjoy what you got.
How about Rocket Robot on Wheels? Yeah, it's just like the N64 was such a weird console because like nobody really seemed to know how to develop for it, but it also is sitting on some of the greatest games ever. So it's just kind
Yes.
of it's one of those weird games that, or one of those weird systems that the mini could come out with like 10 games on it, and those 10 games would be like some of the 10 most fantastic games ever. But if you extend that list out to 30, that's going to be a little more difficult in my opinion.
Yeah, but as much as it's not the best game, I still think Donkey Kong 64 should make the cut.
I actually like that game.
yeah,
I do too. It just dragged.
Oh yeah, it definitely did. But that game hit me at a time when I had a lot of time to play the game. So if I remember right, I 100%ed that game. Like I spent a lot of
Yeah.
time playing it. I had a lot of fun with it, to be honest.
Even those two little arcade games that were in it, I played those alone
Oh
so
yeah.
much.
I remember I used to subscribe to Nintendo Power, and they were running contests with Donkey Kong 64, and they would, from time to time, like, if you could prove that you 100% of the level, like, you could take a picture of it and mail it in to them, and they would send you, like, tickets for their retail thing. I got some of those. That was
Oh,
was kind
nice.
of fun.
Oh dang.
I think they ran a jetpack challenge, if I remember right, because I remember playing like that for hours for some reason.
Dang.
Huh.
And speaking of, rare games, could we maybe finally see Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie and maybe even Conquer?
Oh, and Blast Corps. Please
I
bring
don't know
Blast
if
Corps.
Conker's gonna come back, but Banjo-Tooie, please.
I just wonder if they were releasing that under the Nintendo 64 label. I wonder what the ownership would look like there. If you would have to get Microsoft involved, I imagine you would, and that would be kind of a headache. But in the effort of completion, I think the rare games on 64 were like really gems. I think you need them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they kind of really were some of the best games on the 64, so
It would be very strange and very unfortunate to see that thing happen, the N64 Mini, without any rare games. That would just be empty.
it'd be like the PS Classic. Shots fired.
But it's not wrong. And I mean, I do want to say, some rare music was found within Smash Brothers, so there's hope on the horizon. At
I don't
least.
know, because Smash Brothers, it has Joker from Persona 5. I mean, it has everything. I think everyone loves Smash so much, it's like, hey, can we put this in Smash? Please.
I hope it means more than that. I really do. I don't know what to predict because Smash Brothers is such an enigma at this point, but
I hope so for your sake too, but I just feel like Smash is the exception.
fair enough. So yeah, I mean, we're probably forgetting like a huge one. I think we should have mentioned Paper Mario for sure.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
and there's a few more that I'm sure we're forgetting.
Tactics Ogre.
Oh goodness, really?
Nah. It's worth a mention.
It is. Yeah, every sports game imaginable. But I mean, that, to me, I would love to see if you came out and told me that we would be able to do that online system with 64, and I'd be able to play with members in the Discord in the original Super Smash Brothers or Diddy Kong Racing or something like that. Man, I would be hyped for that. I would be really excited to see that. Even going through like Zelda Ocarina of Time, passing a controller virtually back and forth. Yeah, that's how I played it originally. So I would love to do that.
I know there have been mods for Super Mario 64 that made it multiplayer, so I can only imagine how that would be like.
It'd be awesome. It'd be so awesome. So yeah, I really do hope that becomes a thing. Oh, we forgot to mention Sin and Punishment. That's a fantastic game that actually never released in North America. So
that's probably why I don't know about it.
It came out on Virtual Console finally on. I want to say it came out on Wii.
Yes.
And that was the first time it ever released in North America. So that kind of satisfies that. Well, this is a weird title to put on here.
Oh,
great
I'd
game.
be remiss to not mention Harvest Moon.
Yeah, fair enough. Harvest Moon 64 was iconic, really.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you mentioned including like a joke game. I wonder if they could put Superman 64 in there, just for Actually, funny story about that one. I actually held that game in my hands one time when I was looking to purchase Pokemon Snap.
How we forgot Pokemon Snap.
Yeah,
and Hey You
one.
Pikachu.
Hey You Pikachu, yeah.
Oh, that's right. So yeah, I was looking for that one, and the clerk didn't have it, and he told me, "Oh, we have this one." And he gave me Superman 64. And,
I was trying to con you. All right. So I have a confession. I actually owned for quite a while Superman 64, and I played through a good chunk of it because For whatever
How?
reason, that game is bad. That game is super bad, and I'm not here, breaking news. That game is bad. But for whatever reason, it's kind of fascinating in a weird way. Like, you're just like, this is really, really, really stupid, but it's still kind of funny. And if you told me that they were gonna put that on Nintendo Switch Online, and I could watch somebody play that and do that little clapping hands thing, I sold. I'm there. 1000%, I would be down.
You sold me. Yeah. Superman 64 on Virtual Console.
Like, Superman gets a car stuck around his body, and you're just like clapping and like circling him with your little hand. It's great. Fantastic. Make it happen. Oh, man. I think it's time to move to GameCube. I think we hit the bottom.
So, when we do get to GameCube, I do got a question for y'all. So, I feel like 64 might be the cutoff for Virtual Console, but when do you guys feel like remasters are a better decision than just straight up ports? Because I know you're super excited about it. I am. I love Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. But would you rather have a Virtual Console port of it or the remastered version of it? And it's like, I feel like we start to cross a line when we consider, GameCube games being Virtual Console.
So here's my thing. I will always appreciate a remaster if they actually do something to the game. Like, if you release the same game and you just make it look a little bit prettier, okay, whatever. But in the case of Crystal Chronicles, they're actually adding like full online play and things like that. So yes, please remaster that game. That's fantastic. And in the case of like the Zelda remasters, they go back and smooth some things out. In each of those, they've added like motion controls to them. They've done some really good things for the remasters. So that kind of thing I'm good with. It just matters. It depends on exactly what they're trying to do with the game and how willing I am to pay the full price of it versus just hoping for a port,
Yeah.
Yeah, and at that point, those games they look closer to today's games. So it's easier for them to do a remaster, but if we want a proper remaster with additional content, that's going to take more time. So we're going to get better games, but less of them.
Yeah, that's a good point. And some of the GameCube games still look really good. Like, you could plop F-Zero GX down right now, and it looks like a good game. Like,
yes.
it has really weird character models, and the cutscenes are probably pretty janky at this point. But the actual gameplay looks really good, and it still would. Wave Race, I forget exactly what the subtitle is on GameCube. That game looked really good for the time, and I imagine it still would now. So you're kind of reaching the point that you can put the game directly, and it looks okay in most cases. So it's just kind of a matter of preference, really, I think.
All right, so what games would you rather have a remaster, and which games would you just go like, it's fine enough, just port that?
I would love, and kind of in the Crystal Chronicles vein, I would love a full remaster of Zelda 4 Swords Adventures.
Oh, yes.
Oh, with online play.
With online play, without the necessity for the Game Boys, that would be, sold day one, pre-ordered. Yes, I would be there.
Triforce Heroes tried to be that, but with only 3 players, it felt a little awkward.
It was also super laggy because reasons. But yeah, I would love to see that. I'm trying to think of another game that I would almost require a remaster of. I think honestly, I think Super Mario Sunshine could use a remaster just because that game was so.
Well, it was never finished, was it?
Yeah, exactly. It had so many holes and gaps and weird little things. I really liked the game, but I think that they could kind of take a take 2 on it and improve it pretty drastically.
Yeah, that's in my remaster list, especially because I never really got too much into it.
Oh, I love that game. I was always bad at Mario games and platforming in general, but with that jetpack, oof, felt so smooth. I was just sliding around, jetpacking everywhere. I'm probably remembering myself playing that way better than I actually did.
There were definitely a lot of oops, I fell into the whatever. But that game had really good control options. Like you could do a ton of different jumps and things in that game. And it was just kind of fun to move around in, and the music was really good. So I'd be down to get back into that, and I think I would prefer that to be a remastered version.
Yeah.
Now, one that I would prefer as a straight up port as is actually the original Animal Crossing.
Oh.
I really wouldn't want them to touch them up so much. I would rather have the team spend the time on Animal Crossing Switch. And the original Animal Crossing, it's really nostalgic, and it has a lot of things that haven't made the return to the series as it is now. So I kind of just want to experience that again.
You know what? You're onto something. A little bit of a genius, because if they just straight up ported it, you got your virtual console right there.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
was thinking. That game had what, like 30 NES games buried in it? Like it had a ton.
That
A
many?
ton of
I
them.
thought it was like 15.
No,
Jeez.
well, I mean, I'm certainly not the Animal Crossing expert on this podcast, but I remember having a lot.
Yeah, I think it was closer to 15, maybe 15 to 20, but there were a lot of really good ones. There's also a couple of games that I just never got a chance to play. So either, remaster or port as is from the GameCube days would be Fire Emblem Path of Radiance and
Yes,
also
it's
Chibi
so
Robo.
expensive.
Yeah. Did either of you play the original Chibi Robo?
I
I
did.
did not.
Oh.
I always wanted to, but it disappeared real quick.
As much as the 3DS games are fun, it's not Chibi Robo.
I thought so. They keep changing it, huh?
Yeah, it's like the photo mode was kind of fun, and they made a platformer, but they just didn't make what people liked about the original game. It's like, oh, I want to like you. Your original game was so good. Just give us a port of that.
Yeah, it looked really interesting. Like you're pretty much just this little helper bot running around a house trying to solve things and clean stuff, and it looked neat. I liked the idea of that game.
Yeah, I remember that and Katamari coming out around the same time. Love them both.
Oh.
Now, there is one game I would love a port of, or honestly, I just want it to continue, but it's also on PS2, but it's Beautiful Joe.
Ooh,
Oh,
okay.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was 3 games on the GameCube. 1, 2, and then there's like a little fighting game.
Right.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, if I could get that on Virtual Console. It's like, I mean, put Beautiful Joe in Smash.
That's one of those
Yes.
series that I'm very surprised kind of died off.
I know, I don't know what happened. My
Well, I
heart's
mean,
broken.
it's made by Capcom. I mean, they tried to kill Mega Man for a long time too, but
Fair, fair.
no, nothing is sacred. But I am surprised because I thought those games actually did pretty well.
And speaking of dead franchise, Super Monkey Ball.
Oh,
Oh, yeah.
goodness, yes, both of them, please.
Yes.
Joy-Con controls would probably work out pretty well.
Actually, there's one that I would love to see a remaster of, with the option, not mandatory, but the option of gyro controls and
Right.
updated graphics and more mini games and things. I would love to see a brand new Monkey Ball. I really
Yeah,
would.
all the mini games with online play.
Oh man.
Okay. Have you ever played a game called Battalion Wars?
Yep.
Because I would love that. I know there was a second one on Wii, I believe.
Yes.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, I got into Advance Wars late, but Battalion Wars was actually my entry into it. And it's like, oh, I like this so much. I
Oh, that's
don't know what
interesting.
happened.
No, I don't think it did very well, unfortunately.
It
And I
didn't.
think
Right.
I don't think the entire series did. I thought it did okay from what I heard, but then Fire Emblem started just making them monies, and Advance Wars kind of suffered because of it.
Yeah.
It's a little sad because I love that entire series. I mean, I love Fire Emblem too, and I've recently listed Fire Emblem as my most hyped game of this year, but I really would like to see Advance Wars come back at some point.
At least we got Wargroove.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
true.
Yep.
What about this would require some licensing magic, but what about Star Wars Rogue Leader?
Oh.
Rogue Leader's the second one, right?
Yeah, the
Yes.
launched with GameCube.
Yes, Rogue Leader. Oh wait, actually, I'm trying to think if it's the third game or No, it's the third game. Was that on Wii or GameCube still?
It was on GameCube as well. Rebel Strike.
Rebel Strike. Okay.
Honestly, either of those would be good. Rogue Leader was the iconic, like the first level is on the Death Star
Oh yeah.
level, and I played demos of that game in stores so many times. So when the game actually came out, I like perfected that level the first time I played it. But I need to get that game again because I've been kind of, I just want to play it.
Okay, so I have reasons for Rebel Strike. And also, if you want, I can hook you up with it. I can send you the disc. So, Rebel Strike has split screen co-op of the whole
The first game,
Rogue Leader. No, the second game, this campaign.
Yeah, Rogue Leader. I mean,
Yeah, and it's like,
Ooh.
oh, I've been looking for a wingmate to play that one day. I got the GameCube controllers, the Wii set up. It's like I'm just itching.
now that with online play, oh boy, and that's a heartbreaking one because there actually was a collection of those games. It was going to be Rogue Squadron, Rogue Leader, and Rebel Strike on Wii with updated control schemes and everything, and it was going to be like an updated collection. It got canceled when it was ready to go. Like it went gold. It was
Mhm.
good.
And the team is working at
canned.
Hulu at the moment.
Yeah, and from time to time they've been talking about maybe this game is not dead, so there's a chance we'll still see it in the future. Which, sign me up day one pre-order.
Okay.
Guys, I'll be there.
So there might be hope in recent events because EA and Disney, they're not exactly working together anymore with Star Wars. So
Yeah,
there's a chance it could open up and we might finally get that Rogue Squadron successor because I need it so much.
those games were super good, and they were hard too. Like they were not easy games at all, and they were super satisfying when you actually played them. This is kind of weird. I think we need an SSX game. I really liked the snowboarding on GameCube. It was awesome. Most people would probably go SSX Tricky. I would go SSX 3 because I'm weird, but just it had a singular full mountain that you could just snowboard. You didn't even have to do races or events or anything. You could just start at the top of the mountain and snowboard all the way to the bottom just as you wanted to. That game was so so freeing and just chill and awesome. I still have it, and I'll probably always keep it. I really liked that game. So, and it had multiplayer and everything too. So yeah, again, for a system or an online service or something like that, man, that would be awesome.
Oh yeah. Oh, I know my top all-time game I need on any GameCube Virtual Console or remaster. Phantasy Star Online Episode 1 and 2.
Oh,
fair enough. I played through that just a little bit. I didn't play through it.
Okay, so a little background. One game I used to play to death was Sonic Adventure 2 Battle.
Yep.
And I would just raise chows all the time. So, Phantasy Star Online has this little thing where you actually could get a special Tails chow if you link the two together. It was very convoluted, not easy to do, but I had it. I got it. It was amazing. I was so happy as a little kid, and just like I ended up falling in love with Phantasy Star Online. I grew up with a bunch of cousins, then we used to share consoles, and it was up to 4-player split screen. And it's like, oh my god, there's no game like this that I can find. It just, I couldn't believe it was on the GameCube.
No, that game, it was deep too. You could sink hours into it.
Yep.
Yeah, it's just the first game alone. Like,
Yep.
Then you got to episode 2. It's like, what?
Yep. And then there's weird games like, so we get to a couple games I list as my favorite games. You get to Wind Waker, which already has a remaster, so don't exactly know what to do with that.
Actually, you know, like for the N64 Classic, I think they would have to have Ocarina and Majora's Mask. They're so good and different that they would kind of have to be both of them. But for the GameCube one, I think it would come to a hard choice between Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, and I wanted to know which ones you would pick.
Oh, I mean,
Wind
I'm
Waker.
obvious there.
To be fair, I also never played Twilight Princess.
Oh, I see.
That's just a blind spot for me. Maybe one day.
Oh, maybe on this system, I would go. I'm sad, but I would go with Twilight Princess. I really like the Wind Waker, but Twilight just
And that's
hits
gonna
it.
do it for episode 30.
Don't worry, we have the Wii U.
No, I mean I like Twilight Princess too, but it for me it would be a pretty easy choice for Wind Waker. But then you get to Smash Melee. So obviously the idea of online Super Smash Bros. Melee is intriguing, but at this point, do you really want that competing with Smash Ultimate?
Right.
I don't know. This is more of a case for, if you had a virtual console or like a GameCube Classic Mini console or something like that. I would love to see Smash Melee on it. But if this is part of the Switch Online, that's where it gets a little sketchy to me. I don't know. I don't know that they would
leave it
do
with
that.
local, just because everyone's just bringing their GameCube setups or Wii setups for Melee
Yep.
tournaments.
Right.
So it's like no one really plays online, and so it's just like, oh hey, I'll bring over my little thing.
Yeah, that's also before the buffering system and
Right.
actual good net code and such. So yeah, play Melee with really bad lag. That'd be really fun.
Yeah, right.
Brawl, you're playing Brawl.
Ouch.
Hey, I love Brawl, but come on, the online.
That was something else.
But I gotta tell you, like looking at the libraries, if they came out with, hey, we're gonna do GameCube anything, like if we're gonna direct port GameCube games to Switch for $20 a piece, or we're gonna do remasters of them, or we're gonna do the online service or a classic system, man, I'm gonna be hyped for that because I really liked the games on that system. It's kind of the opposite effect of the 64 to me, in that some of the first party games maybe weren't quite as strong, like the world changing games that the 64 had, but the library as a whole was super solid.
Oh yeah, it's like there's so many games trapped on the GameCube. It's a little cute prison. I want them to break out.
Nice. And if they do a classic like a mini system, I hope we get the orange spice one. I always wanted that for the system itself and not just the controller. So
Variety of colors. They had some great colors. Sorry.
yeah,
they did.
another maybe tough choice, depending if you played both of these. I think they would only have one of the two Pikmin games in it, and I think they would go with Pikmin
Oh.
1.
No.
I think they would too, and I think that's the wrong choice.
It is.
Yeah, but I think that's the formula that Nintendo or maybe just Miyamoto kind of wants to keep for Pikmin.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that's a bit of a shame.
I mean, it's still a good game. I don't
Yeah.
want to. I wouldn't be too down in the dumps to see Pikmin 1 instead of Pikmin 2. It's just, I think they added some stuff with Pikmin 2 that made it pretty interesting as a game.
New plan. Remaster. Pikmin 1 and 2 bundled edition.
Mm.
I just really want a Pikmin game on the Switch.
Hey,
Yeah.
Pikmin 4 is done as of like 3 years ago. So
I still don't believe that it is. It's just like it was probably just a 3DS game.
I can't shake the feeling that he was talking about Hey Pikmin. I really can't, and it just makes me shake my head. But Pikmin is kind of my sleeper pick for this year. I do kind of think we will see it, and I do kind of think we'll see it soon. It just feels like a good time for it. If I remember right, Pikmin 3 actually did pretty well on Wii U, despite being kind of thrown to the wolves on a
Right.
underperforming system. So I think indications are, I expect one on Switch, and I expect if it is coming this year or early next year, kind of look promising, just based on nothing, just based on
Right.
kind of speculation.
Based on a hope and a prayer.
Now, as for third parties on the GameCube, one really interesting one, if they could pull it off, would be Soul Calibur 2, if they could put Link in it again.
Yeah, that's true.
Ooh.
I loved that game.
All right, I don't know how y'all feel about this game, but personally, I love the game called Billy Hatcher.
I didn't play it much. I didn't play it enough, but it has nothing but positives with other people talking about it. Everybody loves it.
It's just a fun game, and nothing ever came of it. It's like another game trapped on the GameCube.
Yeah.
Yep.
And again, we're neglecting poor Paper Mario with one of my favorite games ever, The Thousand Year Door.
Oh, yes.
It would almost have to be included, in my opinion.
I don't know why I keep forgetting about Paper Mario. I just feel like I had such a satisfying experience with it. It's like I would absolutely buy it. I'm not sure if I would play it again.
Right, gotcha.
It's like I love that game so much, and Thousand Year Door was my favorite game, and it's like I want to be the Great Gonzalez again.
Yep.
Now, would you expect both Metroid Primes to be there?
I could see it, to be honest. I would expect Metroid Prime 1 for sure. It's whether 2 makes it or not, and I could see them putting both. I don't really think they need to, but I'm good either way.
Okay, I gotta ask. Metroid's another blind spot for me. Still, I've technically not played a Metroid game, so not even
Wow.
Prime.
Wow.
Why wouldn't 2 be on it?
It was not as well received. It was a little long and drawn out, and a lot of people got kind of burnt out about halfway through.
I just think that's bad because it's different, you know. It tried something different. I think it executed it well. And like Daryl said, some people maybe just didn't want that or expected that, but it's a really good sequel.
But for you, Monty, if you're going to play a Metroid game, please play Super Metroid or Metroid Prime 1. Very, very different games, but they feel kind of similar, and they're both fantastic.
Yes.
They're like among my favorite games ever, both of them. Seriously, they're amazing.
Speaking of backlog, it's on my 3DS backlog. I at least have Super Metroid. I just need to get around to it.
Hashtag backlog busters. Okay.
Oh yeah, our little plug. Shout out to Backlog Busters. Also, shout out to Kevin.
Shout
you're
out to
doing okay.
Kevin. Hope you're still feeling all right, bud.
There were four Mario parties on the GameCube. I think 5 was the best, but that's not saying much.
I would shy towards 4 there, but I don't care that much. They're both good.
Okay, so
You're the tiebreaker.
Nah, 4.
Yeah.
I had to think about it, and then I was thinking about the other games. No, it's 4. It's 4.
Shout out to Book Squirm.
Yeah.
Book Squirm is my favorite Mario Party minigame, period.
Oh. Yeah, I think it's just me. I didn't like the item system thingy.
Oh, it was terrible. It was very broken. It doesn't matter. It's still a great game.
You know, I'm starting to wonder because every time I go back to Mario Party, I don't know if I actually like that game. Any of them. It's like I go back to them, even in the best ones. It's like, am I having fun? My knuckles are so white. Is this healthy?
Shout out to random hidden stars. Yep. I'm more like, every time I go back to Mario Party, I kind of wonder if anybody else is having fun.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Is it a good game? It's like, do we need help? Is this just nostalgia? Do we?
Welcome to the Nintendo Jump support group. Call us at 1-800-JUMP. No,
has Mario Party hurt you or your family?
Or your palms.
Oh, God. Oh, my palms needed like a week to recover from the 64 Mario parties.
And, I mean, we didn't. So, obviously, for both 64 and GameCube, there are a bunch of really good games that we did not mention. We're just talking about games that kind of come to mind. But, I mean, there's
too many.
There are some definite, must-haves, such as, I don't know, Mario Kart Double Dash.
Okay,
right.
I have some feelings on Double Dash.
Oh, no.
So, no, really good ones. It's
okay.
It's like my top Mario Kart game, if not my second.
Oh.
So, All Virtual Console. Like, you could go 64, SNES, like Super Mario Kart, all that. I could drop all of them. Like, I could live with just Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but if anything could come back, it would have to be Double Dash, because no other Mario Kart game does anything like that, and it's just my favorite Mario Kart.
I'd have to agree with you on that. I would put it second behind 8, just because 8 has so many more tracks. And 8 or 8 Deluxe, take your pick. There's some slight differences, but they're both great. But there's so many more tracks in 8 and things like that. But if I were to pick a second Mario Kart game, it has to be Double Dash at this point. I think it does a lot right, especially with like the super items and the double system and everything. It was definitely an interesting experiment for sure.
And not to take anything away from it, I really liked it. But what if? Let me offer you this. What if we get Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and we add a Double Dash mode where you can have a partner with you riding, and the super items?
I'm shocked that didn't happen.
Yeah.
I mean, I would leave Double Dash in the past if that happened, but until then.
Like, seriously, I'm surprised that did not happen. And I don't know the inner workings of Nintendo, but that just seems like such a slam dunk to me that it's one of those that they obviously just ignore.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Hey, maybe we'll get a new Mario Kart game towards the end of the Switch cycle.
I'm curious about that.
Yeah.
Because they started the system with a port, pretty much. And I mean, I understand it's like an enhanced port, and I bought it. I'm not upset about that at all. I've had a lot of fun with it.
It was great.
But is that going to be the only Mario Kart on the system? Are they going to do something like wacky, crazy, different? Is this God help us, is this actually a way to bring F-Zero out and have like 2 very different racing games? Man, I'm glad Kevin is not here right now. Shout out to Kevin. Because otherwise he'd just be getting way too excited. But
I mean, let's not even mention any of the F-Zero GameCube game. We could leave that. I'm just joking. Just
jokes. But no, I would agree with you on Double Dash for sure. It's just circle that way back. But there's like I was saying, like there's so many good games that you have your obvious ones. Like anytime they're gonna do a classic system, they're gonna put a Mario game, they're gonna put the Zelda game, they're gonna put the Metroid game if there's one available. For GameCube, they would probably put Luigi's Mansion. I think they should.
I mean, technically they did that for the 3DS, so yeah. I don't think it's coming.
Yeah, I mean, I could see it. I don't know what to think on that exactly, because they still do have Ocarina of Time on Virtual Console on Wii U,
right?
But they also released the re-release on 3DS. So Nintendo does weird things from time to time.
Yeah, I got nothing. You're right.
They're an odd company, and it's one reason we like talking about them. But any other closing thoughts on, aside from, hey, please do this, anything else you'd like to see from 64 or GameCube coming out?
Just Mario Strikers for the GameCube with online.
Oh, goodness. Thank you for not forgetting that. Remaster or brand new game.
Yes.
For sure.
Nothing comes to mind because we're already getting Resident Evil 4.
Yeah, we didn't mention Eternal Darkness, but I honestly never played that game.
I didn't either. I might like it, but who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure Resident Evil 4 would be on that as well, and it would be like on 40 systems at this point, and that's okay.
It was Skyrim before Skyrim.
Resident Evil coming to microwaves next year. Yeah. Well, this was fun. Sergio, you want to wrap us up, man?
Well, it is time to jump on out of here. Thank you so much for listening. Definitely a big thanks to Monty for joining us tonight, man. It's been a pleasure.
The pleasure was all mine. Thank you for having me.
Now, we are still waiting for a Nintendo Direct, so look forward to that if that ever happens. I guess at this point by next week, if nothing happens, then we kind of just move on and and be sad.
Well, we're making other plans for next week. I do have one big piece of news I almost forgot. So we have come to an agreement with another community to actually go to war in Super Smash Brothers. So we are going to have a crew battle against the community of N64 Josh. So I'm really, really excited about this. It's going to be us versus them. It's going to be advertised, streamed.
Nice.
The way it's going to work, we're going to set a team of something like 5 to 7 players somewhere in there, and we're going to go against their team of 5 to 7 players in a series of one-on-one battles. It's going to be hype. Every time I've ever played one of these, it's one of my favorite things to do in the game. So really, really looking forward to that. There's going to be more details in our Discord. So if you are interested in joining, or we're going to have some sort of tryout, still working out the details on that. If you're interested in joining us and playing, please join our Discord and let us know. I'm making a list right now. We're going to start the trials pretty soon here. We're looking at probably next weekend or so actually having these battles. I need to nail down that time frame. Again, all details will be in the Discord channel, so please join us there. Otherwise, look out for some notes on Twitter if you want to watch and cheer us on. We would really appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. That's gonna be awesome.
I mean, I'll be rooting for you if I'm not actually fighting in it.
And, I mean, obligatory N64 Josh, I'm coming for you, brother.
Warriors, come out to play.
Nice. But like Daryl mentioned, next week we actually have plans for music episode number 3.
Woo!
So, well,
Ooh.
that is exciting in and of its own. If Daryl, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think on our music episode number 2, we actually did it before we knew of a direct, and that kind of put us on the spot there. So
Yeah.
maybe we are actually predicting the next Nintendo Direct here.
It's possible. And this time, instead of trying to combine the two, if a Nintendo Direct does happen, then we're just going to postpone that episode 1 week. So I'm going to give us an out this time, because the last time we were kind of obligated to do it. But the plans are, if no Nintendo Direct comes out, we will do a music episode next week. So if you do have any suggestions, we've gotten a ton of submissions recently. Definitely appreciate all of those. But send them in as soon as possible, and we'll try to include them.
I'm kind of curious if you guys will be able to spot or figure out what I sent in.
Oh, nice. So, thank you so much for listening. If you haven't done so, and especially if you're interested in our Super Smash Bros. Ultimate Collaboration Tournament, definitely join our Discord group. There's a link to it in the description of this episode. We also play a lot of Rocket League lately, and definitely a lot of Smash pretty much every day. So definitely check it out. There's always somebody there willing to play something. You can also follow us on social media. We are on Twitter and on Instagram as NintendoJump. We have a Facebook group as well. And our episodes are on YouTube. Definitely let us know what are your favorite N64 or GameCube games that you would like to see either as Virtual Console, as a mini system, or as a remaster. Definitely also give us any thoughts or suggestions for any topic show ideas that you would want us to discuss. We welcome your feedback via social media or via email at NintendoJumpPodcast@gmail.com. We ask that you please leave us a review on your podcast application of choice. We would really appreciate it, and it would allow this community to grow and to get to more listeners like you. And once again, this is Sergio, and on behalf of Daryl and Monty, thank you for listening, and we hope you have a great week. Bye-bye.
Shout out to Kevin.
Shoutouts to Kevin.